Welcome to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. It's time to kick off our spring Rocket League season with our Week 1 Rumble. With spring comes along spring cleaning, and that means we are changing up the Rocket League format. Our Rumble will be featuring 8 teams split into an upper and lower bracket. Tonight we'll take a look at the semifinal bracket games, and next week we'll feature both grand final series. I'm your host, Artie Nerdy Bird Rain, and joining me on the desk is Jacob Gem Palmer. All right, so we made some comments in the last couple of weeks that we've repeated multiple times, and so I'm going to throw this question to you, and I can already see the look on your face. What are you hoping to not see happening tonight?
Well, let's just hope that we don't see those 9-minute overtimes. Like, let's just generally steer clear from that. But overall, you know, it more brings up what I want to see, and what I would want to see is just kind of the top teams that we have all known as being the top teams fighting. You know, if we see the bracket right now, we see the Eagles, we see the Vipers, Barracudas are also in, and we also see the Flares also as kind of a bit of new talent to challenge in the upper bracket. So we've got all the teams, all the storylines that have been set up for us over the Winter Rumble ready to make a statement in spring.
I'm also excited to be witnessing some new teams such as the Flares, as we mentioned, and then we also have Surge Blue and Surge White,
as well as the Monkeys and the Wolves, and the Monkeys being kind of a relatively new team. I think they only have 1 or 2 Rumbles in terms of experience, but still looking to make a statement here, and we'll see if any of these teams surprise us, because sometimes these new teams can really take us off guard.
Also, there could be roster changes as well, so we might see familiar faces across some of these teams, but also brand new faces within regards to the new teams that we're bringing in this evening. We did see 3 of them popping up, so I'm hoping to see new faces, but if it's a shakeup of old rosters, we could see some major shutdowns and heartbreaks tonight.
Yeah, we could definitely. That's kind of one thing is where the game of Rocket League doesn't play, but the rosters certainly do, and there are a lot of roster swaps, almost like in any professional league. You know, next week you're hearing, oh, this team traded this player over here to this. So sometimes you see players that have played well. I think that's another thing that can kind of separate these teams in terms of skill level, is if it's a team that's had a recent roster shakeup, they might not have had time to get the communication down as much as they wish, whereas if they're playing against a more well-seasoned team that has the experience of all playing together, that can be a factor as well.
Yes, it can. And just to give you guys the complete list of all of the teams that will be competing tonight, we have the Barracudas, the Monkeys, Surge Blue, Vipers, Eagles, Surge White, Wolves, and the Flares. And before we jump into our first matches of tonight, we want to give a quick reminder to our friends on Twitch to support your teams, celebrate the successes, and be respectful to the other fans. Mods will remove anyone who violates these chat rules.
Of course, as we're ready to head into the match, any of these players, no matter what team they're playing on, will need advice to perform at their best. And I believe we have a certain someone who's an authority at that.
Yes, and that person in particular is Doc. And Doc's keys to the game in Rocket League presented by Esports Tower tonight are create mistakes, punish the overcommits, play walls better, and demo in the goal. Score pro advice at esportstower.com. Improve your game sense, improve your team play, and improve your performance under pressure. You'll get matched with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up.
All right, to jump into the first series of the night, the Monkeys and Wolves are going to face off in our first semifinal of the lower bracket. Both these rosters have new faces on them, and we'll let them kick it off to see who will advance to the grand finals in the lower bracket.
Ooh, the first kick off there is won by Zdot Baby. I hope I pronounced your name right. If not, please let us know. And unfortunately, though, it flipped very quickly, and the Monkeys score the first goal.
Yeah, sometimes he just can turn out that way off of the kickoff. This one's going to go in the favor of Gerds, it looks like. He's going to now go to play off the wall. That's a great aerial play, though, by Axe to get some side control back over toward the Monkeys. Gerds is going to do a nice little chip shot over midfield as Kids stops it. A little bit of a shot from Jay. It looks like it's just kind of a little bit of passive play between these two teams. Might just trying to see what the other team is made of.
Playing it safe in the beginning can pay off in the long run, especially because it creates less opportunities for a team to take advantage of mistakes and gives you time to analyze. And one thing that I'm already noticing is that Gerds has some great ball control and positioning, and the coach has actually been really impressed with how they've been how much work they've been putting into practice, and they've also been focusing a lot on boost control and pad rotation. So let's see if that pays off tonight.
Gerds isn't the only one that's new for the Wolves. Basically, the whole roster is new since we last saw them in the Rumble. Team has been focused on playing Team Rocket League and not committing on every single ball. So hopefully we'll see some of that practice work out for them. But now we're still seeing kind of this passive play, and this is getting me a little bit nervous, Nerdy, because this is the play last time that drove us to the 9-minute overtimes. But an open goal punished right there by Kid. Kid Scrub, it looks like, being anything but, is going to get the second goal.
Kid is trying to make sure that we do not have to experience that 9-minute overtime, and is going to continue to make that score gap larger if they can have those open goal opportunities. But one of those things I really want to see cleaned up is those open goals, so hopefully we don't see overcommits coming from the Monkeys going forward. We still have 3 minutes and 25 seconds on this clock, plenty of time to make up a 2-goal differential, but not if the demos come out in full force, opening the field. Jay backs up and stops that shot on goal. We have Baby Pump it going up in the air, trying to dunk it down, but it's disrupted, and Kid now with possession, looking for a pass to his teammate, leaves it for Axe, and now Axe is in the corner here, having to take on Z-Dot Baby.
We're having a lot of fighting in the corner, and the Wolves kind of a bit bunched up. Gerds is now going to rotate up the field, but Parent's not going to be passing for him. Instead, goes for the solo play as Axe elevates up, trying to find the clear, playing it off the wall. Z-Dot is going to leave it for Gerds, but doesn't get the tap that they wanted. Instead, it ends up going to a little bit of a back pass, and that's going to allow Axe to try to punish it with the help of Kids, but they're not going to find a goal out of that one.
We do have X getting a great clear, playing it over one. Jay receives it, playing it off the wall to center it up for a teammate, but unfortunately their teammates have rotated back. Gerds takes advantage of the space, grabbing the ball, has to play it around Jay, but Jay manages to read it well, sends it to the side. Not a lot of speed behind this ball, but Axel is getting great control over it. Can't play it around Zoot Baby and chooses to take them out in the process. Kid's still trying to maintain possession here as the ball gets popped high in the corner.
This is, I think, the main problem from the Wolves is just I'm not quite seeing the plays that they want to make with the rotation. Like we see here from Gerds, it's just kind of shot over into the corner, but I'm not really seeing, you know, the cars getting in the passing lane or just the plays or follow-ups that you see with a team that coordinates. It just seems like the Wolves are just kind of going for the ball every time. Just like that double commit, it turns into a shot on goal, but I'm just not seeing a lot of strategy or follow-ups from the Wolves where I am seeing it from the Monkeys.
Perhaps that could change. This is, of course, a best-of-3 series, so if the Wolves do not get the score that they want by the end of this first 5-minute game, they could just be using it to analyze the other team, but they definitely cannot have double commits like you just saw.
Another clear attempt by the Wolves. Jay's going to hang out to defend that one. Gerds plays it a little bit off. Zoot finding the goal, and there's the follow-up we were looking for the Wolves. They're going to drive it to just a 1-goal game with a little over a minute left.
So you mentioned that the Monkeys are definitely creating more play opportunities, but one thing I'm noticing is that they have basically a designated goalkeeper in the form of Jay, who's just kind of staying there and making sure that goal's not left open. That could mean that the Monkeys are actually letting go of a lot of great rotation opportunities as they go forward because they are constantly leaving one player back here and not having that player rotate forward and letting someone else take that position. But we'll have to see if that's just their strategy and that works out more in their favor. So we do have Kid going for a shot on goal, but Gerds gets in there and shoots it back forward.
I think it might also be just a memory of remembering how they scored one of their own goals was the Wolves leaving that goal wide open, so they probably have the mentality of, hey, we're in a 2-goal lead right now. Let's just try to play a little bit more passively, play very defensively, and not really allow us to get scored on. Of course, that does put a lot of pressure on Jay if he doesn't rise to the occasion. It almost happened there.
Oh.
The Monkeys are going to tie this up. Great opportunity for the Monkeys, but again, just not quite going for the goal there. They're going to drive it down to just the last 10 seconds.
We did see that the Wolves, when the ball was on the back third of their side of the field, were pretty bunched up, so it makes it difficult to capitalize on these clears quickly. And now we've hit the 0 point on the clock, and the first round will conclude with the Monkeys walking away with a 1-goal lead victory.
Yeah, I would say that game, it definitely did look like a warm-up game. There were just one team kind of got the early lead off of the kickoffs. I think it was just like 5 seconds, and a goal was already scored. And then they just kind of rode the coattails of that first exciting 30 seconds for the rest of the match. I do think that I am seeing a bit more, I am starting to see a bit more strategy form from the Wolves. It's just the problem is I'm seeing double commits here and there and just some telltale signs of not quite having the full teamwork that they need to completely worked out.
And that does come with time. We did mention that these rosters have been shaken up and we're seeing new faces. And so when you're in that type of situation, communication is one of the biggest things that you can rely on, because at the end of the day, no one has ESP and you need to be communicating with everyone. But we do still have 2 more matches left in this best of 3, hopefully 2 more, if we can get this score evened out in this next 5 minutes.
We'll just have to see how it works. Off the initial kickoff, both teams kind of fighting. We actually, looks like we got a little bit of a swap out there. That might be an alternate account, might not, but Quan now is going to be joining the Wolves. So maybe they think that they've got kind of a sleeper agent, if you will, to try to really just try to pop off and put the Wolves back into the running here.
Oh, we do see a great shot on goal. Gerds rotates back to that back post in time to save it. Now we've got a Parent grabbing the ball. Does get taken away immediately, though, by Quadale. I think Quadale might have been their sleeper agent.
Might be. Well, yeah. Probably so. Now, this is interesting because we see that the Wolves are now the orange team. So it might have been a glitch with the overlay or not, because Monkeys were orange team last time and we credited them with the win, but it might have been swapped around so that everything we're talking about the Monkeys now applies to the Wolves. But regardless, I'm sure we'll get the final word at the end of this match, who was who.
We have a Parent trying to play the ball around Quaddale. They can't manage to do it. They do have a little bit of Axe does get a little touch on that ball. Quaddale brings it into the corner, but it pops up high in front of the Monkeys' goal, dragging it down. Z-Dot onto the side, playing it off the wall, gets it around 1, gets it around 2 with the help of a parent, but then Quandale gets in that passing lane and just sends the ball to the side of the field, creating a lot of disruption in space for their teammates.
Quan to center again, and a demo right onto the Monkeys. Gerds is now going to respawn. Doesn't have a lot of boost to play with though, but does pick some up off the side and is able to, with the help of apparently, drive it all the way off the backboard. It's opened up, but it just hits a little bit wide toward the left post, and Monkeys are still going to have to keep trying to get their goal, but if they play good here, they can at least maintain the side control that they got.
Wolves are struggling a little bit on that boost front for a while there. While that ball was chilling out in the back third on their side of the field, both Axe and Kid had nothing in their tanks, making any sort of clear here very difficult. Relying on Quandale could be a strategy, but putting too much faith in one player can make it very difficult for that player to facilitate a lot when their teammates cannot move as fast as they can.
Kid's going for the shot there. Axe is going to try to keep it going. Gerd steals it away from them. A huge shot from way back on the field. Quad elevates up to stop it. Now over to Axe. Gets a nice shot off that one. Trying to play it toward the goal, but Monkeys are going to stop it. Wolves still maintain their 1-0 lead, and the follow-up is going to be denied by the Monkeys, who find a nice clear, and they're going to try to find the equalizer off of it.
We got Axe playing it off that back wall, tries to send it to a teammate, but the Monkeys have already pushed forward, trying to claim space on the Wolves side of the field. Now Gerd's going toe-to-toe with Axel. Axe will lose out on possession. Quandale dunks the ball down in front of the Monkeys' goal, but it is redirected to the side of the field at the mid.
Pop off the route from Zoot is not going to find anyone to keep it going. Quad takes control of it. The pass over to Axe, stopped by apparently. Now it heads back over toward the Wolves, and Monkeys have gotten a good bit of side control this game, but they haven't been quite able to convert it into a goal. And I actually think I noticed, a lot of these teams, it seems both teams have it in their mind to always have someone rotating to back post. I haven't been seeing anyone really leaving an open goal quite yet, so both these teams seem to have their defense down. As soon as I say that, though, Quad is going to make the lead for the Wolves a bit larger.
We've got 1 minute and 16 seconds left on the clock. That is enough time to score 2 goals. Gerds is looking like they're trying to make that happen, but they left off and let that ball go straight into the corner. So now they've lost out on that momentum. Hopefully they can regain it. The ball is at the midfield. Gerds comes back in, pops it up, plays it over 1, but it's going to go off that back wall where Quandale was waiting, and they drag it down into the corner. Now playing it around 2 of the Monkeys members. Just has to beat Z-Dot, but they cannot. Z-Dot gets in there, takes possession, trying to corral the ball in the corner is the Wolves, but it does finally get cleared all the way over towards the almost open net. But Quandale somehow swoops in just in time.
Yeah, that was a very clutch rotation. Unfortunately, it looks like trying to get their own clear, a bit of a misplay. Kind of bouncing off 2 members of the Wolves and just kind of goes into an own goal. The Wolves will take it, and the Monkeys will take it, and maybe the Wolves just right off this kickoff are trying to erase it because they're playing furiously to get back to their 2-goal lead.
They need to be careful. I saw all 3 members pushing forward there to try and create that opportunity to increase their lead, but with 25 seconds left on the clock, you cannot leave your goal wide open because the Monkeys could easily find that equalizer for themselves. You cannot forget your fundamentals, even when there is just a little bit of time left on that clock.
Demo is going to be brought out from the Monkeys onto the Wolves, onto Axe, who now respawns. Quan looking to center, but there's a lot of Monkeys also crowded around in their own corners. Zoot now trying to make the play, going to go with the air dribble, loses it, apparently tries to keep the play going, but is unable to find the goal. And it looks like indeed the Wolves are going to be called the winners off of that one, winning that 2-0.
Nicely done, Wolves. However, I feel like if Quandale had been in there from the very beginning, that might have been a tougher victory for the Wolves than it was.
Well, ultimately,
going at it alone can only get you so far. I mean, the 2 of us need each other all the time when we are on the desk, obviously, and so do these players. And if you want the opportunity to increase your chances of success, you have to level up your teaming skills. We just saw that in those last few plays, especially when we had Quandale join in for the side of the Monkeys. You can see how far these teams have come in just a short time together. Esports Tower takes the time to create teams of well-matched teammates, and I'd like to give a shout out to Coach Jake. And if any of you are watching and have not checked out the Esports Tower Club, you definitely should. It's the fast track to rank up.
So that's the first match in the books for the lower bracket. The Wolves are going to advance to grand finals, and I believe we'll find out who will join them in those grand finals. It's either going to be Surge White or Surge Blue.
Yeah, I feel like with the name, the matching names means that these teams might be a little bit more competitive with one another. We could see a lot of demolitions as well. However, if you want to see I'm trying to come up with a pun for Surge, but I can't off the top of my head. I'll find out. I'll figure out one when we get back, because we're about to take a quick break before we jump into
the energy drink rumble?
Yes. Okay, we'll go with that. We're going to take a quick break before we return with our Surge White versus Surge Blue match. So be right back in a few moments.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your Guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Welcome to this broadcast of the Esports Tower Rumble. We're broadcasting it from the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. The Wolves have just moved on to next week's lower bracket grand finals, and Surge Blue and Surge White will be making their Spring Rumble debut in our next series. To see who will join the Wolves next week in the lower bracket grand finals, I'm your host, Nerdy, and joining me is Jem. So we saw a couple unfortunate double commits that were capitalized on during that last match, and considering that these are teams that are kind of brand new, we probably will see a bit more of that. However, having brand new rosters it could make things a little bit interesting. And also, I was struggling with a pun for this, and I believe that you did come up with one.
Yeah. Both of these teams at Surge Blue and Surge White, so we have a full choice of energy drink flavors before us and the caffeine cup that we're going to see. So hopefully that'll be good. And if these teams do well enough, they will have more to celebrate about because Esports Tower gives a lot of great scholarship opportunities to great players.
Yes, and we are going to take a moment to congratulate all of the Esports Tower Club members who have graduated from the club and have been offered scholarships across the country. Over the last 3 months, Esports Tower Club members have received over $1.6 million in scholarship awards. These students have not only worked hard in their gameplay, but have worked hard academically to earn these scholarship opportunities. The players that receive these scholarships are talented, hardworking, and driven, and we cannot be more excited and proud to see all the opportunities that these players are getting. I look forward to seeing all of you in the future, in your future esports endeavors and your college endeavors. Congratulations and good luck to all of you.
Yeah, over 500,000 out of 1.6 million. Doing little math, that's, not quite a third, a little more than a fourth. So still a great chunk of scholarship going over to Rocket League.
For sure. And if you want to pop off a little bit, maybe look a little bit flashy, you might want to keep in mind some quintessential things to Rocket League. And those are Doc's keys to the game. And today they are create mistakes, punish those overcommits, play the walls better, and demo in the goal. Score pro advice at esportstower.com, where you can improve your game sense, improve your team play, and improve your performance under pressure. You'll get matched with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up.
So we're ready to head into Surge Blue and Surge White. That last key to the game, something that we didn't actually see much of. We saw a few demos be brought out, but it seems like they were more spur-of-the-moment demos. They weren't ones that coordinated with a team push to really clear out the goalie and leave the goal wide open. So that is something that, you'll see once you kind of get to the very upper levels and the team has enough coordination. So hopefully going forward, as these teams gain more experience, we'll see more plays like that.
Yes, we're hoping for those calculated demos, not just the demos of opportunity that tend to happen in Rocket League. Hopefully we'll see some of those calculated demos coming up in this next caffeine cup that we're going to get.
Yeah, the caffeine
Surge
cup. Let's
Blue
get to
and
it.
Surge White. So let's jump right into that game. Hopefully we'll see a full 3-game series in this one as well coming up, though.
Well, whoever wins this one is going to be joining the Wolves in next week's lower bracket finals. Both these teams are full of fresh faces and a great chance for these players to impress in their first Rumble. Off the kickoff, see Surge White is going to be the ones defending as Blue makes an immediate play. High energy, just like Caffeine Cup would suggest. Twiz getting the goal.
And I did see a demolition happen. I think it was actually on one of the Surge Blue members, but they just decided to keep going because Surge White was too bunched up. They capitalized on that lack of space that Surge White had and used it to their advantage. However, Surge White immediately looking to equalize things up. We do see an unfortunate double commit from Surge Blue there, but Tove comes in and just volleys the ball all the way to the back third on Surge White's side of the field.
Now, one thing that you'll want to keep an eye out is not just the amount of boost they have, but how they use it. Like Tove and now Twiz, you can see their boost just kind of steadily decrease because they used it all at once, whereas people who are really good at managing boost, you'll see them tap the boost button and just use a little bit at a time so they can stretch it out as long as they can. So Surge Blue, it seems they're good at getting boosts, but if they're using it all at once, that might leave them open to being boost starved at the most crucial moment.
We did see Twiz there when they had possession, had nothing left in their tank, making Azudara. I hope I said your name correctly. It gave them a very easy opportunity to take that ball away. Being able to keep your tempo up in comparison to the other team is very important when it comes to Rocket League, and so keep in mind Jem's suggestion there of feathering your boost rather than just pressing that key all the way down and going for it all at once. We do see a double commit from both sides there right in front of the goal. We do see Almost God, though, manage to get an opportunity to clear the ball to the mid.
And I'm becoming more convinced as this goes on that that first goal might have just been kind of a fluke of the moment, because a lot of plays that I'm seeing from Surge Blue have a lot of their players bunched up around the ball, not necessarily having boost or being the most coordinated. I'm seeing a bit of that from Surge White, though, too, so it seems like both of these teams need to focus more, get the experiences playing as a team more, and just kind of getting out of that solo queue mentality of just going for the soccer ball.
I do believe that is something that all of these players have been working on with the coaches at Esports Tower. It does come with time, but something that can mitigate that, as I mentioned in our last match, is keeping up the conversation. Your comms need to be open and talking.
Oh, that's a great play.
But it doesn't matter to Azdara. I'm just going to call you Dara. My apologies. gets a goal for Surge White. We still have 2 minutes and 47 seconds on the clock. Tied one aside. Unfortunately, though, Twiz gets in there, taking that ball away. We got Tove trying to move forward now, trying to play it around one. Does have Bullseye coming up behind them. They still maintain possession, though. They have almost got behind them. Unfortunately, they had one too many touches there and got the ball taken away.
Unfortunately, Twiz was rotated too far up on the field, so the ball flew past him behind, forcing Surge Blue to retreat. And now we're trying to play defense. Gonna try to play it off the wall. Leave it for almost, though, so that's a good pass to start things out. Sundra's gonna try, Dara, I should say. I try to pronounce it, but Twiz is gonna get the other goal. Get two. He's definitely the star player. I mean, you look at the activity feed, it's basically almost all Twiz making the plays for Surge Blue.
Yeah, and 3 saves on that board for themselves right now with 2 minutes still left on the clock. We could see that those badges go all the way off. I love seeing that personally because it means you're putting in work. Twiz has possession, gets a touch, plays it off the wall to themselves, plays around on the corner. We've got 2 members of Surge White bunched up. They do find the clear. Tove racing back to that back post, gets possession of the ball, has to play it around one Surge White player. Let's see if they can. They pop it up, maintaining possession, but unfortunately that pop went too far forward and too fast for them to maintain that ball any longer.
Special trying to push it over toward the goal, but runs out of boost midway through, leaving it open for Twiz. Special's going to take it away from him again, though. Just bumps right into him to stop that play. See a double commit on the save there. Very risky for Surge White. They're going to have to stop kind of those bad habits as Special pushes the ball not really out to anybody, and instead goes over to almost, but Special again takes it away from them. He's doing a really good job of stealing it away from Surge Blue. But what Surge White really needs here are some goals.
We've got Twiz trying to find a goal for themselves. A triple commit there from Surge White. Still allows Dara to get possession. It's taken away almost immediately by one of the Surge Blue players. Tove playing it to the side wall. Tries to get it centered up for a teammate. Not enough momentum, but they still manage to keep possession for Surge Blue here off the back wall. Does get cleared by Bullseye. However, Twiz comes right back in, playing off the back wall to themselves. They do lose out possession. Dara will elevate at the midfield. Ball goes over their head. Almost got trying to catch up to this ball. Gets taken out by Bullseye. Now Surge White looking for an opportunity. It gets taken away almost immediately by Tove.
There's another goal by Twiz, finding their hat trick. Star player for Surge Blue. Basically driving solo toward a win there for the team.
Congratulations, Twiz. That is our first hat trick of the evening. We do have Twiz going toe-to-toe with Bullseye. A little help from Specialist. Bullseye will manage to get the ball across that midfield stripe, but Tove is already there, corralling this ball in that corner, but the ceiling is not their friend. They lose possession, dunk it down to Almost God. It's in the corner on the back there to Surge White. 5 seconds, 3 seconds left on the clock. I do not foresee Surge White coming back from this one.
Nope. That is going to put an initial lead over towards Surge Blue. I think both of these teams are kind of making the same mistakes, kind of making the same amount of double commits. And unfortunately, kind of when you get into these games where the team play isn't that great, it can kind of devolve into a game of, okay, well, who's the highest ranked? Who has the highest, personal SR or MMR or whatever game ranking system you're using? And it definitely seems like that is Twiz who's making the difference.
And when you become that type of star player who stands out that much as Twiz did, you could end up with a target on your back for the next series. So let's hope Twiz doesn't spend a lot of time on the respawn screen in the next 5 minutes. However, you already touched on it. The solo play definitely can play to an advantage here, especially I feel like with the amount of mistakes these teams are making, they equalize each other out. So heavily relying on Tove might be Surge Blue's strategy from here on out.
That's a nice shot off the post follow-up. Kind of the first team play that we have seen necessarily from Surge Blue. I'm seeing a little bit more of it from them, though, than I am Surge White. Tove misses on that. Open it up for Special. Gets a demo in the corner. Twiz is going to respawn, so just like you said, Nerdy, the star player, you got a target on your back. Twiz already getting demoed once this game.
We do have Almost with an opportunity to send it to Tove. They'll take out one, possibly themselves in the process. We do have the ball get cleared to the midfield. Tove, yes, has respawned. Dara tries to drag the ball down, spikes it up, plays it around 2, off the back wall, has Bullseye there. Bullseye goes to center it up. Another follow-up touch from Unfortunately for Surge White, will be blocked, but now we've got multiple members piling up here. Bullseye going for the back pass. This could be risky. It is, because Tovey's going to capitalize on it, going for some great aerial play. The pass back to Twiz will be missed. Almost God goes for the tertiary touch, and it has to be played off the wall to recenter it for another opportunity for Surge Blue, as Special Jet takes it away at the midfield.
Dara now to center it up, trying to play it in themselves. Almost is going to get control of that. Leave it for Twiz, who pushes it back toward midfield. Almost 2 minutes have passed with no goal for either team. Twiz going to get bumped out of the way before they can get the clear. Leaving it open for Bullseye to keep the side control going. Surge White recovering nice. They have basically as much boost as they need. Can they make the play though? An odd though tap from Dara leaves it open for Blue. Goes way up, just a little bit wide and to the left.
We did just see a demo in the goal on the keeper. The next couple of seconds, Surge Blue had his opportunity, but the respawns have come out. The ball's still on the back third of Surge White. We have almost go for a touch, get a shot on goal. Dara saves it, but Twiz comes in with the follow-up, getting goal number 1 for Surge Blue.
And that's exactly what it looks like when every member of your team doesn't have sufficient boost. Just a little bit of a tiny hop to try to elevate it up, but none of them are able to really respond to Surge Blue. Speaking of respond, though, an open goal is going to be responded to by Surge White. All that work that Blue put into it, and it's all undone by just a little bit of careless positioning.
At basically the halfway mark of round 2, we are tied 1-aside. So as I say, that is basically back to 0-0. Let's see if anyone can sneak ahead here or if we will drop into overtime. It does look like Dara is trying to make sure that does not happen. And we got a follow-up touch that unfortunately was just a little bit too high from one of Dara's teammates. We do see Specialists go for the tertiary touch that's taken away. Tovey now pushing forward towards that back third of Surge White's side of the field, where a double commit from Surge White does help them find possession, and Dara gets the clear to the mid, but almost God takes it away, and the open goal for Surge Blue will bring them up by 1.
Yeah, that was exactly brought out by that double and triple committing, bunching up around the soccer ball. You had everyone trying to defend the ball at that one time, with no one hanging out on back post in case a follow-up was going to be made. So all it took was a little bit of fancy dribbling, and now Surge Blue is back in the lead. The only thing is, though, is they can't make the same mistake they did last time, so make sure you have someone to defend. Almost is going to be the one in this scenario there. Follow-up is not quite as fast and almost gets the clear that Blue was looking for. Now they can breathe again.
We do see Special Jet just got some gas in their tank. Bullseye was sitting at 0 for a few seconds there as well on that offensive push there coming out from Surge White, so they definitely need to keep an eye on those boost tanks and make sure that they are not starving themselves of resources, because that is what will shut down some of these opportunities for themselves. They have a great pass off the back wall, but unfortunately positioning and rotation was just not in their favor there for Surge White. Does look like Surge Blue might get the clear here from Tovey. They find it, and now Twiz will go forward with that ball off the wall, centering it up. Let's see if they'll get the touch into the goal. They will not, because Dara's going to swoop in and take it away.
There goes almost. Well, it is able to get their own boost, so at least Surge White isn't going to be able to steal it away from them. They're going to actually go for the back pass to get control of it. It works out for them in this scenario. Now Tovey is going to look to center it with Twiz to follow up. It plays over 2 members of Surge White, but they aren't able to get the shot on goal. Almost going for it right now. Special finds the save. Now look out here. Oh, I was going to think that Special might have gotten a shot on goal there, but instead passes it off to the side, and that actually gives some time for Surge Blue to really kind of run out the timer here.
That clock is ticking down to that 18-second mark. Special goes for the shot on goal. It does hit that crossbar, which is no one's friend. Tovey manages to find the clear. It crosses the midfield stripe. We've got Twiz with possession. It does get taken away for a few moments, but with 5 seconds left on the clock, Surge White needs to move forward with this ball, keeping it in the air to find that equalizer goal, but it's going to get dunked down by one of the Surge Blue players.
Surge Blue, they were really playing it close because about the 15-second mark they had a crucial double commit, but the worst thing is that was an aerial double commit, so you have to add in that extra about 5 seconds for the ball, for them to get back on the ground and get control. So there was a lot of time opened up that Surge White could have punished them for that. Didn't turn out that way, but a little bit of a risky play there at the end. Surge Blue still getting the win, though.
It happens, and, you know, one of the things that we touch on a few times here, and it's the growth of these players, and in that growth, they get some fantastic opportunities through Esports Tower. And if you are looking to become one of these players and get seen by expert college recruiters, talk directly to esports industry insiders like pro athletes, general managers, and game producers, then you need to join the club. Esports Tower players get insider access to industry insights, and with our featured Rumbles, recruiters are taking notice too. It's a great way to score exposure if you're looking to start your path to pro or land a collegiate scholarship.
Well, Surge Blue advances past Surge White and will square off against the Wolves in the grand finals of our lower bracket next week. We're going to be going up next to our first upper bracket semifinal between the Eagles and Vipers. You're not going to want to miss this because this is where the top talent that we've been looking forward is going to be brought into play. And also, speaking of top talent, I understand on the other end of this break, we will actually have a former Boise State player for Rocket League, Takidu, be brought in to give his input. So that should be really nice to get that sort of expert, seasoned player view of it, so you're not going to want to miss anything.
We'll be right back.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Welcome to this broadcast of the Esports Tower Rumble. We're broadcasting it from the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. Our lower bracket grand finals is all set for next week. Now it's time to turn our attention to the upper bracket, starting with the Eagles and the Vipers. I'm your host, Artie Nerdy Bird Rain, and joining me is one of our Rocket League veterans, Tacky, or as I once knew him as Tacky Uwu during one of my broadcasts where I almost cried on this stage from laughter. All right, so you've got to see our couple opening games here. What are your initial thoughts?
Well, if I'm being honest, I felt like sometimes our games that we're watching, even from the winning teams, are a little bit sloppy. We're on top of each other, or we're going for weird triple commits. It feels like, just generally speaking, we could use our voices a little bit more. We could talk to each other and say, hey, I'm going for this, or I'm going back. Just make sure that our paths aren't crossing so much that we're bumping into each other constantly. Okay,
so car pileups, those tend to happen, but other than the communication, what do you feel like, at least from a sort of autopilot perspective, these players should be looking for rotation-wise to be doing?
I think specifically they need to think about their core in terms of rotation, which is the 1-2-3 man. Especially that third man needs to make sure that he's giving his team distance while also available in the play. Not running into each other's backs was a big thing that we saw, so it kind of falls into that. We're breaking our own rotations by making our third man step too far up. Okay, so definitely communication, not over-rotating. And then so one thing that Jem mentioned, and I kind of noticed as well, is the boost utilization and management. Do you have any tips for the players that are currently watching when it comes to that sort of stuff? Well, the biggest tip that I can give is from one of the best players in the world, Turbo Pulsa, and you should only commit boost to a play if you're going to actually be able to do something with that play. You shouldn't be using boost to rotate around constantly. You don't need to. If you're positioned correctly, you don't really need to waste 100 boost just to get in the right position. So if you're going to use boost, make sure that you're actually going to go do something, whether it's getting in the way, bumping, getting hit on the ball, whatever it is, just make sure you're doing something with that boost.
All right. So I have one last question to toss to you, and so this is more orientated towards our upper bracket games. What are you hoping to see as we move into these teams? Because these are teams that notoriously kind of go just gun after one another, and they're high-scoring games and very high skill level games. So what are you hoping to see out of these next ones?
What I'm hoping to see from a lot of gun-heavy teams, just like you said, is a lot of really creative plays. I want to see them passing to each other a lot. I want to see a lot of crazy stuff off the wall. I want to see these people try to show off a little bit, show us what they can do, and really find creative ways to find the back of the net. All
right, so going to this next match, we're hoping that's exactly what I want to see too. We're going to hope for some crazy plays. And as I mentioned, this is going to be between our Vipers teams and our Eagles teams. And this is going to be determining who is the first team to advance into that grand finals spot next week. And then after that game, we'll have the Barracudas and our newer squad of the Flares jumping into the series. And for these teams, we have some words of advice for these next games, other than what was already said here from our very own Tacky. And those are in the forms of Doc's keys to the game presented to you today by Esports Tower. And those keys to the game in Rocket League are create mistakes, punish the overcommits, play walls better, and demo in that goal. It's Score Pro advice at esportstower.com, where you can improve your game sense and improve your team play, improve your performance under pressure. You'll get matched with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up. All right, so let's kick off the semifinal of the upper bracket with the Eagles taking on the Vipers. Both of these teams have had excellent winter seasons, with the Eagles establishing themselves as a consistent team on the top. Can the Vipers upset them and kick off the spring season going in their favor, or will we see a return of the powerhouses and the Goliaths that we saw last season?
Yeah, I think something really important to note here is card choice generally doesn't matter too much, but players who tend to pick Octanes like to go for that creative stuff anyway. The card just being tighter and is generally able to do a lot more than the longer cars. So I think it's really important to note that the decision on the car here might actually impact some playstyles.
I am glad you shared that information, because that is definitely not something I was fully aware of. I knew that sometimes the card choice determines more a little bit of the playstyle, but not so much the Octane being that important when it came to this. We do have Cameron getting a nice side pass over to Toke, but unfortunately Toke will not be able to reach that ball in time. Zydra tries to send it back to them. Unfortunately for them, on that back third, the Eagles managed to find a clear, sending it to Nano, but it's taken away by Cameron, who elevated higher and got touch first. Wilds goes for the shot on goal, and up in that upper right corner goes right into the net.
A beautiful shot. That's exactly what you want to do for midfield, is you want to find a way to put it in a spot that's just going to cost them all their boost at best.
do have Toke get a great pass over towards their teammate. Nano and Wilds will slow down. Nano pops it up, plays it over one, sending it to the wall where Enzo's waiting. Centered back up to Wilds, plays it around Zydra. Cameron at that back post gets possession of the ball, but unfortunately will lose it out. Nano elevates, Toke gets the better touch, Enzo will elevate, trying to dunk it down to a teammate where Zydra grabs it in mid-flight, centers it up for Toke, and Toke finds goal number 1 for the Vipers.
That right there is exactly what I was looking for. The great pass down straight to his teammate and knocks it straight into the far corner, getting a great goal to start off.
Now both teams are tied 1 aside. We have Toke racing forward with possession. They will lose it to Enzo. Enzo has Wilds. They pass the ball to them, but Cameron gets in there, just bodies the ball away. Nano now in front of the goal, tries to chip it, manages to get it just far enough away from the goal. Enzo now going for a great aerial play, has a teammate, but Zydra in the air takes it away in mid-flight. Cameron goes for the follow-up touch, but that 4th man in the form of the goalpost saves the ball for the Eagles.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot of aggressive play right now, a lot of getting in each other's faces. I think we're doing a really good job of finding a way to force them to make a decision, good or bad.
I've mentioned it before when it comes to Rocket League and Overwatch, when you hit this level of gameplay, it typically does come down to being a game of mistakes. And so if you can force a team to make those mistakes themselves, it definitely plays into your favor. And we see a back pass that's a little bit risky from the Eagles there that Toke capitalizes on immediately, bringing the Vipers up by 1 with just a little over half of this round 1 left.
Just an unfortunate bounce there. It bounced straight off of the sidebar and straight into the middle of the field. It could have gone like 3 different directions, and it chose the worst one for Team Orange.
It does feel like there is a notorious bad relationship between the crossbar and whichever team is on offense when it comes to Esports Tower. I've heavily suggested they go to couples counseling, but only one player ever took me up on that advice.
The crossbar is either your best friend or your worst nightmare, but it is never both at the same time. It will always trade blows with you.
We do have Enzo there looking to try and get a shot on goal. It's taken away by Cameron, spiked up in the back third on the side of the Eagle side of the field. We have Enzo elevating, playing it around Zydra, sending it to Nano at the side, passes it centered up to Wilds, but just an unfortunate angle there does result in the ball going across to the other side of the Vipers' goal area. Nano goes up for the follow-up shot and finds it in that upper corner.
I think the pressure just ended up being too much there. We had a couple failed passing plays that were saved, mind you, and then followed up by just a weird save that ended up being able to be punished by Nano.
Nano is definitely a player to keep an eye on. They are notorious for doing that, as is Wilds. Actually, all of these teams, all these players in general are very good off playing off the other team's mistakes. So honestly, anyone can do it, and sometimes it does come down to the fate of the game. We have Nano trying to carry the ball forward there. It's taken away by Toke. Possession here in the corner was Zydra trying to center it up for a teammate, but Wilds elevated first, passes it to Enzo, who plays around Toke. Cameron elevates, volleying the ball right back to the midfield, but Wilds pushes back forward and gets a shot off the back wall to center it up for someone, and that someone is Cameron for the Vipers.
Something that's really sticking out to me right now is every time that Team Orange pushes upfield, the Eagles, we see Nano is already there, just like right now. He's looking for those creative plays. He's looking for those weird redirects. He's getting in their face, and he's making sure that when his team moves up, he's already ready to cause havoc.
Nano, sorry, my apologies. Enzo actually had a double commit there from 2 of the Vipers players. Manages to maintain possession though. Wilds off the back wall, and Nano comes in yet again, playing it off the back wall. Wilds with the follow-up, well, Enzo with the follow-up touch, finds another goal for the Eagles. And yes, Nano is just all over the place, everywhere they need to be at every moment thus far.
Yeah, and the big important thing about playing offense is that you always don't necessarily need to get the perfect touch, but as long as you're beating the enemy team to the ball, you'll have them offset and you'll probably have wasted some of their boost, so that the play is free anyway a lot of the time.
We have Enzo make a great shot on goal, but unfortunately Nano did not get there in time. Wilds trying to keep the ball here on the side of the Vipers. Does unfortunately lose it out to Cameron. Enzo trying to catch up to Cameron. The ball's pushed too far forward into the corner. Enzo has an opportunity to center it up for a teammate right now. Eagles up by 1, but Zydra decides that we might see an overtime with 6 seconds left on the clock. Both teams now tied 3 aside.
Yeah, this is definitely still a close game. I think that the pressure overall has stayed with the Eagles. However, anything can happen. It feels like once Eagles get stuck in their own end, it's bad news, but if they can keep them stuck in the other end, then it's game over.
We'll see which one of those comes to fruition here, because I feel when one of those happens, a goal is almost guaranteed within a couple of seconds. We do have Wilds pushing forward with the ball, playing it off the back wall for a center-up touch to themselves, but a double commit from the Vipers does result in the save, and another slight double commit there We do see them starting to spread out. Wilds, though, not letting up on pressure, has Nano come in to help out. The ball makes an awkward bounce. Cameron gets possession, plays it around one, but can't play it around Wilds, and now it's in the corner on the back third of the Eagles side of the field.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing it shift a little bit. I feel like the Vipers are starting to gain a little bit more footing. Oh, but as I say that, the cherry pick, like I was mentioning before, just finishing off that game, the great offensive pressure and keeping a man upfield just allows them to find those great shots and team plays later on.
In that cherry-picking position, there was very, very little pressure on Enzo. So nicely done. Way to clutch that one out in just a couple seconds of overtime. That's the type of Rocket League I like to see. Not quite as flashy as I've seen these teams before, though. So let's see if in match 2 things get a little bit more exciting and maybe a little more explosive.
Yeah, you could definitely see them trying to go for some flashy stuff, but I also definitely respect going for the more consistent plays, the passing plays, and just applying pressure overall. I think the biggest thing that stuck out for Team Orange working well this game in the Eagles was definitely their ability to get a person upfield and ready to cherry pick and ready to make things happen when they moved over. I think that really buffed their offense as they went. However, what it also means is that in those rare situations where they get knocked back into their own end, they might have less players to play defense with, and that's why they can get scored on with a lot easier effort.
The Eagles have been notorious for overcommitting on goal-scoring opportunities, too, and not leaving someone in that back third area to be ready for that return volley, and that's been their Achilles heel a few times. But they definitely cleaned it up in this last game, so let's see if they can keep that up going into match 2, or if it'll be capitalized on by the Vipers a little bit more.
Definitely. Looking forward to some great passing plays here again. Oh, and a weird kickoff from Zora. It looks like he almost missed it.
Cameron has the ball taken away almost immediately, though, off that kickoff. Enzo with possession, plays it right in front of the goal. That just almost flat to the goal angle is very difficult to pull off. Ball does get cleared, but it looks like the Eagles will be the first ones to get a touch on it as one of them pays with their car going up in smoke. The respawn will happen, but the Eagles have possession and are in a slightly better position than the Vipers currently on the back third of the Vipers side of the field.
Yeah, I definitely see a lot more defense coming out for the Eagles here. It seems like both times that the Vipers have gotten out of their end, the Eagles have had someone to answer with, and it's just really impressive to see that change already. We're going to have to see if it changes the offense at all, though.
We had Nano all the way forward for that cherry-picking position again. Did seem like the Vipers were prepared for it, though, immediately putting pressure on them, turning it back around, have a shot on goal. It's turned away by Wilds. Cameron trying to maintain possession. Does the back pass to Toke. Risky thing to pull off, as they did have Nano racing in towards that goal. Wilds off the wall, goes for a shot that's volleyed back across the midfield by, I believe that was Nano to Enzo, and right back to the goal for the Eagles. Cleared away by Nano, playing it off the wall. Let's see if they can set her up for themselves. They will not, because Cameron will steal it first.
Great pop-up there by Wilds. It gives a lot of opportunity. They can either wait it out and wait for them to make the weird clear, or he can try to go for another touch or pass to a teammate.
Wilds attempts to play it off the back wall, but Cameron disrupts that play. Nano, though, with the pass, goes for a shot. It's turned away. Enzo trying to keep this opportunity alive, looks to drop it down in front of the goal for a teammate. Unfortunately, both teammates whiff on their opportunities there, allowing Zydra to bring this ball forward. Toke centered up, does get taken out, though, so Eagles, all 3 members pushing forward, ready for an opportunity to score a goal here as Enzo pops it up. Does have to elevate over Toke, sends it to Nano off the back wall. Wilds is looking to center it up. Unfortunately, though, for them, Zydra is there before anyone else and is now pushing forward towards the Eagles' goal.
Yeah, we definitely are seeing a lot more ceiling play out of the Eagles this time. It definitely feels like they're trying to go, not necessarily for the solo plays, because there were a few ceiling passes, but they are working together to get it done still.
That was a beautiful pass there between those 2 Eagles players for that goal. Played it around the one Viper that had managed to catch up to them, but just not quite fast enough. Toke looking to bring that goal back in favor of the Vipers. Does lose out their possession. Cameron trying to follow up. Does not get an opportunity as Nano plays it around 2. Enzo spikes it up to keep it away from Toke. Ball still on the back third of the Viper side of the field. Enzo looking for a centering opportunity to send it to Nano, but it's taken away as Toke pushes forward. Nano centers it up for Enzo. The ball is immediately volleyed to the back third of the Viper side of the field.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot more of a tighter game from the Eagles. It seems like they're trying to cover their weaknesses a little bit more and paying just slightly in their offensive pressure. They're still ahead, so they still have the advantage here, but we're definitely going to see an evolution or metamorphosis, you might say, of playstyles as they try to figure out the perfect middle.
One thing that tends to be a common trend with the Esports Tower teams is definitely treating the first match as more of the first match in a best of 3 or 5 series here as an opportunity to scout how the other team plays. And more often than not, the gameplay drastically shifts for whichever team was not in the better position coming out of match 1. However, it does seem like both these teams have decided to change up their playstyle. Vipers struggling to still find goal number 1 as we're ticking down that 90-second mark, but definitely playing better than they were in that first round.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I see them going up for a lot more. They're really getting in the Eagles' faces and saying, hey, you don't get to own the ball as much as you have last game. We're going to try to mess you up and get to the ball a lot sooner than you are now. And you can see the pace has made up for that because the Eagles have slowed down a little bit and the Vipers have found a way to really get in the faces.
We have Cameron playing around Enzo, but unfortunately they can't play it around Wild, who elevates to that ball, centering off the back wall to Enzo, but the angle of Enzo's card just wasn't quite right, so they couldn't get a touch on it. Cameron now plays it around Nano's. Nano pushes away Toke, so the little bit of pressure there will make it harder for Cameron to get assistance here going forward, and it is the Eagles coming out on top of that one with Wild's pushing forward, shot on goal getting turned away at the last second by Cameron. Cameron looking for more possession here, has no one in front of them, but unfortunately now Nano has caught up and forced them to get rid of that possession.
Yeah, we definitely see Cameron a lot more going for these passes. I feel like a lot of the time as Vipers move down the field, you can see Cameron going for these back wall, these backboard passes to his team, and that definitely might have been something they talked about between this game and the last one.
That unfortunate back pass there from Cameron will open up an opportunity for Wild to get a shot, and Enzo had the follow-up touch. The tertiary from Nano just does not find the right angle. Ball gets cleared all the way down to the Eagle side of the field. Wild spikes it up. Toke dunks it down at the mid, trying to get Zydra to clear it to them to go forward, but Nano elevates to prevent that ball from crossing into that back third area. Nano maintaining a little possession, and the ball does hit the ground with the Eagles rounding out this best of 3 series with a victory of 1. So a score victory of 1. So congratulations, Vipers. That was a very close game. Hopefully, moving forward, we'll see these go further and into more best of 3s. But honestly, that was some great Rocket League.
Yeah, those were still close games. If I remember right, even the first game was still a 1-goal differential, so it still could have gone either way. I think we definitely saw the adjustments that we were talking about very clearly in the second game, though, because the defense clearly got stronger from the Eagles. There were no goals scored this time on them, but the offense got a lot better still from the Vipers because there was much more time spent in the Eagles' half.
Well, this improvement that these players are showing is actually really important when it comes to Esports Tower, because that improvement shows your dedication to willing to work, learn, and be involved in a program. And one of those programs that you can get attention for yourself if you're looking to land a collegiate scholarship or get industry insider access and talk to pro athletes or team general managers and game producers is the Esports Tower Club, where players get insider access to industry insights with their featured rumbles. Recruiters are taking notes of these events. It's a great way to score exposure if you're looking to start your path to pro or land a collegiate scholarship. Thank you so much for joining me on desk for that game. It was very awesome to actually be able to cast with you for once.
I know. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm not going away anytime soon, so I'll be back.
Good. Well, we actually are. We will be back because we're going to take a quick break. Everyone go grab some water, do what you need to do, and we'll be right back with our next semifinal match, and we'll see how that one shakes out. Let's hope it's just as exciting as the last.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Welcome back to this broadcast of the Esports Tower Rumble. We're broadcasting it from the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena, and it is time for our final match of the night. Hello, production staff. Who will be joining the Eagles next week in the upper bracket grand finals? The Barracudas or the new faces of the Flares? I'm your host, Artie Nerdybird Rain, and joining me for our final match of the evening will be Tacky once again. All right, so this is kind of what some might consider the cream of the crop, but when you're a cream of the crop player, you still need to keep in mind some important information. However, do you have any important information for these players before this match starts?
I think the most important information I can give them is to stick to their basics. If all else fails, you have to remember to stay in your rotation lines, like I said before, the 3-2-1, and just have fun, because if you're too stressed about it, you're not going to win anyway.
All right. Well, the one that sticks out to me definitely there is have fun. So those are our on-desk keys to victory here. However, we do have a tradition of keeping up with Doc's keys to the game for Rocket League, and we will remind everyone of those, as well as the players who are about to jump into this game. And Doc's keys to the game in Rocket League, brought to you by Esports Tower, are create mistakes, punish the overcommits, play walls better, and demo into the goal. Score pro advice at esportstower.com, where you can improve your game sense, improve your team play, and improve your performance under pressure. You'll get matched with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up. All right, we're going to kick off round 3 with our grand finals qualifier here. The winner of this series is guaranteed a top seed for the next group stage. We're going to be having the Barracudas and the Flares, our brand new faces, going up into this series. I'm very interested to see what the Flares bring to the field, if this is a whole brand new roster, if these are players we've seen before. We'll have to wait and see, though, as we are about to jump into this first kickoff. All right, so for the Flares, we've got Cran and Agree, two faces we've seen before, but then we have Delco, a newer face on the field for that team. We have Nif, Drift Lemming, and Jababy67. I'm going to say that this is the real Jababy. I really hope it is. If it isn't, someone in Twitch chat, call me out on that, because I genuinely want to know if this is the real Jababy. Rounding out the roster for the Barracudas, the ball is on the back corner here for the Flares. Cran gets a clear, popping it up over to Agree, but unfortunately it's still at the mid. Agree manages to maintain possession. It's on the side of the Flares, side of the field. However, Jababy for the Barracudas dunks it down in front of the goal. Adrift tries to follow it up, but Agree gets in Adrift's space and stops that goal-scoring opportunity.
Yeah, we're seeing the fireworks already this game. So many shots back and forth, so much offense played, not a whole lot of defense, as the sides switch so quickly from shot to opposing shot, from shot to opposing shot, over and over again.
One interesting thing is, for these teams, something we haven't heard about before, nicely done there, Nif finding goal number 1 for the Barracudas, is that the Barracudas actually been doing a lot of pro gameplay VOD reviews to see how to make their next steps into becoming a better team. See if that pays out for them tonight, because they're learning also to adapt to different situations, both personal, team, and opponent changes, to deal with the adversity that they'll face going into these challenges. And the Flares might be a formidable opponent for them, because they seem to already have a very stacked roster.
Yeah, and I think definitely looking at professional players' gameplay will make a big difference. I think it also depends on who you're looking at specifically, but it never hurts to look at people who are setting the example as industry standard for a game.
VOD reviews are something that's very important to Esports Tower. It's definitely something that these players can put in their pockets and use to their advantage. We have Jababy making a great centering pass over to Nif. Nip has it in the corner, unfortunately does collide with a couple of the Flares players there, so they lose possession. Baby, though, keeping this opportunity alive for the Barracudas, dunks it down onto Adrift's hood. Off the back wall, though, we have Delco grabbing it, volleying it all the way to the Barracuda side of the field where it's trying to be corralled in the corner. Adrift Lemming gets in there and snipes it away, dragging it into the Flares corner on the other side of the field.
Yeah, something that's really sticking out to me right now is how much vertical play both teams are relying on rather than horizontal play. And what I mean by that primarily is you can see even here that a lot of shots and passes are coming off the backboard, and we're not necessarily doing a lot in the middle of the field. We're not really passing to each other from the sides, and we're not really looking for any crazy things off the walls necessarily. We're just popping up against the backboard and then looking for shots off that.
Do you think that can be an advantage or a disadvantage for these players?
I think it really depends. If it's something you're comfortable with and the other team doesn't have an immediate answer for, obviously it will be the best possible play. But I think adapting is obviously going to teach every team to be a little bit better than what's faced in front of them.
Well, let's see if the Flares can adapt to the challenge that the Barracudas are putting up right now. So far, Barracudas have 2 on the scoreboard. Flares sitting at a goose egg. 2 minutes and 11 seconds left on the clock is enough time for them to find a couple of goals for themselves, but they need to start doing taking these ball possessions away from the Flares and not getting demoed in the goal. An old key to the game would be allay those demos, because you need to keep all 3 of your players on the field for as long as possible.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I think it's really important to note that these teams are playing pretty back and forth still. You'd kind of expect it after the first minute to kind of shift in terms of kind of the pace of the game, but it's still been going really fast back and forth, and not a whole lot has been able to be said about the midfield presence from both teams. Kind of what I said before, the back and forth, one team takes a shot, the other team takes a shot, is more of a result of both teams not necessarily knowing how to keep it stuck on the opposing end.
Let's see if that starts to shift in favor of either of these teams. If one of them starts to capitalize on field space and having that midfield control, or if it just keeps up the trend that you mentioned. We do have the ball right in front of the Flares' goal, and it is not immediately shot into that back of the net by the Barracudas. And Agree will elevate, pushing the ball forward. Cran has an opportunity here, but Nils on the ground, read it well, took that ball away and sent it to the mid, but does lose their car in the process.
Yeah, definitely still this back and forth you can see. The battle in the midfield is usually normal, but the shots back and forth, almost getting all the way into the opposing net, that's usually a sign of something else. However, it does also show that these teams are playing incredibly aggressive, and you usually are only going to play incredibly aggressive if you're super comfortable with what's going on. So I really like to see the amount of aggression that is coming out of these teams. It's just a matter of toning it down and understanding how to keep the pressure on.
Nilf, Baby, and Adrift Lemming are very familiar with both how Cran and Agree play, so that comfort could be coming from just knowing their opponent, as well as these players knowing one another. And the Flares could be at that slight disadvantage having Delco in there, just not quite comfortable with the rotations and how their teammates play, and not being super familiar with how the opposing team likes to play things out. As that clock ticks down to that 5-second mark, Barracudas are up by 2. All that's left now is for the ball to hit the ground, but the Barracudas are going to say, wait a minute, we want to be up by 3. Now with 3 seconds left on the clock, Flares, unfortunately, I do think this game 1 is going to be in favor of the Barracudas.
Yeah, at that point, the game is probably sealed, but kind of a disaster right at the end there where he accidentally shot his own goal in. And I think, honestly, it's not that big of a deal. I think both teams kind of need to reset and just go back to what they were doing before. I think both teams need to take a look at their midfield presence for sure, because it's a lot of back and forth right now. But I think most importantly, just take a deep breath. It was still a close game. There was pressure on both sides. It just ended up going in the favor of the Barracudas. The Barracudas were able to find the back of the net more consistently.
I'm really glad that you say just take a deep breath and kind of reset, because that's something I've said on this desk multiple times, is, you know, treating every game like it's the first one and restarting from there, because you put so much pressure on yourself when you go in thinking, all right, we're down by 1, it's a best of 3, we have to win this. And ultimately that stress also takes away a little bit of the fun.
Yeah, if you have to, even think of it like a casual or a ranked game. But whatever you have to do, find your zone and just focus on the one play in front of you. It even comes down from that game. Don't think about the whole game. Just think about the play in front of you and do the best you can in the moment. And it'll show.
Well, let's hope that these players actually took these couple of seconds to reset themselves as we move into match number 2. Resetting can be very important. Hopefully it pays off for the Flares. Barracudas did win by 3 in that last game, but that is still a score differential that is easily surmountable by most teams, and I think the Flares can manage to do that. We've got Grand pushing forward right now with ball possession. does lose it out, though. I think one of the other players from the Barracudas might have collided with their car in mid-flight. Jababy now trying to get into position to get a clear here as the ball goes to the corner on the side of the Barracudas field. The Drift Lemming plays it around 2, does pass it to Jababy, who plays it off the wall. Drift pushing forward in a centering opportunity position for their teammates. The ball goes off the back wall. A Drift comes in, does get a shot on goal, and unfortunately the elevation from the Flares was just not in the perfect position, and it does glide into the net.
Yeah, it just felt awkward. I mean, I can't really see it again, but it kind of looked like all of Team Orange was kind of grounded, and they weren't ready for that shot coming in. And admittedly, it was a strong shot at the back of the net, but still, no one challenging that is probably a sign of something deeper.
The Barracudas are actually a very notorious team for playing a lot of aerial ball. One of the words of advice I've said is just making sure you have someone on your team who's comfortable with getting in the air and challenging those players in mid-flight to take away those easy opportunities. And Agree is trying to show off their prowess as well, finding goal number 1 for the Flares. And just with almost 1 minute elapsing, we are tied at 1 aside.
Yeah, at almost 6 minutes of being shut out of the enemy goal, it's got to be a kind of a sign of release now for the Flares as they're finally able to find the back of the net. You got to expect that maybe the momentum shift is starting to head their direction. We'll have to see what happens in the next 4.
We've got Agree pushing forward, elevates around Nif. However, that back wall will play into the Barracuda's favor. Jababy now in possession has a drift, but unfortunately for them, the Flares get into those passing lanes and are becoming very aggressive, taking the ball away twice. The ball's in the back third on the Barracuda side of the field, and the Flares have no sign of giving up possession here. Off the ceiling, though, Agree might lose it as Cran comes in to help them out, centering it up to themselves. Back pass towards Delco. This might be a risky situation to be in, but it's still, they're playing it well over the Barracudas and they maintain a lot of ball possession and knocked a lot of time off that clock.
Yeah, definitely a lot of pressure coming out here from the Barracudas. It feels like maybe they even got more aggressive, but the difference maker for sure is that they're definitely still holding their own in the midfield. So maybe this shift is really going to help them turn the game around, although that was kind of awkward.
Jababy almost had an open goal for themselves. It did get taken away. Cran now pushing forward, centers it up, but unfortunately it goes a little bit too far before Delco can get in there and ground the ball for a goal-scoring opportunity. Jababy now going forward, sees one of their teammates, centers it back to Jababy, spiked up by Cran, getting into that passing lane yet again. Nilf will take the ball away from Cran. However, the ball has not been cleared out of the Barracuda side of the field just yet as Jababy's trying to put the pressure on Delco, and before that even happens, we do have Agree pushing forward to touch that ball and just get one extra shot in. Cran now plays it around 2. Ball's right in front of the net, and it goes in. Flares find goal number 2 for themselves.
Yeah, just like I was saying, it seems like the momentum might have shifted, and you got to think that the Flares are high-fiving each other in between that goal. Things are finally starting to go their way, and they're definitely, for the first time in this game, started to pull ahead. Oh, but not for long before the Barracudas strike back quickly.
When I say this, don't take it personally. This is all in good fun, but welcome to the Caster Curse gang.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I've been introduced now.
It happens to all of us, but I mean, if you cast your curse and you end up getting the teams tied to a side, I don't think that's horrible whatsoever. Both these teams are fighting it out to the best of their abilities. And one thing that's very interesting to note is that the coaches have told us that despite the Flares having a new face, they mesh well together, and Agree, as well as Delco, just did a fantastic job together, finding goal number 3. Flares up by 1, but they need to maintain this lead, looking for a security goal and trying to make sure the Barracudas don't score another.
Yeah, and definitely there was your Caster's Curse just talking about how they were tied. But again, back to the Flares getting pressure, and you got to hand it to them. They've really turned it around now on the Barracudas. They probably feel a little off foot, and they're probably going to have a lot of things they talk about, even if they end up winning this game.
One thing that I think might have played into this change of pace here is Cran is one of those players that does a fantastic job of being an in-game lead, and I'm pretty positive that they are doing that currently for the Flares and said, okay, we need to change things up. This is what I noticed. This is what we need to do. And right now, it's paying off in spades for the Flares. However, Barracuda's very good at adapting themselves. They're starting to mount their counterattack as well. We've got 1 minute and 15 seconds left on the clock. 1 goal differential. Barracuda's hoping to tie this up. Flares looking for that security goal. Jababy right now might have that opportunity.
Yeah, here's the pressure coming on. Ooh, and a great shot. Definitely the team play we were looking for there. Definitely, again, off the backboard. That seemed to be where they're comfortable the most.
Going to this 50-50, we have Nif winning it first, but it goes high. Delco, unfortunately, goes for the demo and does not get the save. Barracuda's now up by 1, 59 seconds left on the clock. Can the Flares find the equalizer, or will the Barracudas walk away with a series victory as JaBaby finds goal number 5 for the Barracudas?
That is 3 goals in less than 30 seconds. What is going on? Defense is kind of falling apart now for the Flares. I'd love to see them bounce back, but I just don't know what they can do now with only a minute left and 2 goals to score. We'll have to see what they have in store for us.
Got JaBaby making a great clear. However, their teammates had not pushed forward in time, so Drift had a lot of pressure from Cran, and with that pressure, Gree gets possession, playing it off the wall. Nif gets in there, taking it away. Cran now elevating with possession, trying to look for a centering opportunity as it's taken away. Too many touches in mid-flight. JaBaby manages to poke that ball away from them. Delco cannot maintain possession either. Gree looking for a centering opportunity as it's taken away by Nilf. We do have Cran rotating to that back post, though.
Yeah, definitely. The pressure is right back where it was before all those goals were scored, and just a lot of back and forth again. But we're seeing a really good job from the Flares in making sure that they're trying to work together to get these goals scored.
As we tick down to that 4-second mark, though we did see a lot of goals scored in just a short amount of time for the Barracudas. We are at the 0-second mark, and the Flares, unfortunately, will walk away from their debut series, losing out to the Barracudas, but that was definitely a fantastic show of what they can bring to the table. I'm excited to see what they have left in store for us for the remainder of this season. But for now, congratulations, Barracudas. You guys will be moving into the grand finals next week. Well, if you want an opportunity to be seen by some expert college recruiters, talk directly to esports industry insiders like pro athletes, team general managers, and game producers, then you need to join the club. Esports Tower players get insider access to industry insights with our featured rumbles. Recruiters are taking notice too. It's a great way to score exposure if you're looking to start your path to pro or land a collegiate scholarship. All right, so that last game was very exciting. However, you, of course, did get the opportunity to watch all of these games from start to finish. And we have, of course, you know, the thing that you are very familiar with, the ICCU Player of the Game. Do you have a nomination?
Man, I'm not really sure. If I had to take a guess, though, honestly, I don't know. It was really tight between all of them. I feel like the Barracudas worked really well together. They found each other really well, and they did a good job of making sure that their spirits were lifted, even despite that goal deficit. Because you can't score that many goals in that short period of time without working together and keeping the comms hyped and ready to go.
All right, so kind of seems like you're pushing towards kind of the Flares. One of those 3 players having an opportunity here to walk away with the ICCU Player of the Game.
Maybe even, but honestly, I can't be surprised, obviously, if Barracudas get it too.
That's fair, but in all honesty, no offense, Barracudas, I've said this to you guys more than once. Y'all have gotten a lot of players of the game, and so I actually am going to be giving my nomination to Nano. Ultimately, though, we don't make the final decision. We are just giving suggestions, and the ultimate rulers of this one are the production staff. We'll have to see who they pick. We might get baited out. They might make it look like it's one of the players we predicted, possibly one of the teams we predicted. But we'll have to wait and see. And it does look, oh my gosh, am I right? That's 2 weeks in a row I've gotten it right. Yes, Nano is your ICCU Player of the Game. The Player of the Game is brought to you by the Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central is helping members achieve financial success. Nano is your Idaho Central Credit Union Player of the Game.
Definitely no surprises there. Nano really let the fireworks kind of go in that match. And working with Enzo, they really did a good job of keeping that offensive pressure on and making sure stuff happened when they were on the opposite end of the field. I
mean, you pointed it out. Nano was just everywhere they needed to be at almost every point in the game. Maybe once or twice there was a slip-up, but you can't be perfect 100% of the time. Otherwise, that's just your norm. So, Nano, you popped off tonight. Congratulations. And before we wrap up this broadcast, do you have any takeaways from this evening?
Well, if it's not shown at all by that last match, obviously, keep your head in the game, take a deep breath, and just remember, even if you feel like you are at a disadvantage skill-wise, just take a deep breath. You got this. You trained your whole season for this moment, and you've just got to put all your cards on the table and go for it.
I honestly could not have said it better myself. Well, congratulations to all of our teams tonight in our Spring Season 1 Week 1 Rumble, a new format, as I mentioned at the beginning of this broadcast. And going into the grand finals next week will be between the Wolves and Surge Blue in the lower bracket, and the Eagles and the Barracudas in the upper bracket. Make sure to join us next week, Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for the thrilling conclusion to this entire series. And as we close out throughout this broadcast, we are going to give you the top 5 plays of this evening, presented by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time with more than 10 jobs offering $20,000 in bonuses and your degree of choice paid for. Be sure to reach out to them on Twitch at iGuard Gaming. Grabs it in mid-flight, centers it up for Toge, and Toge finds goal number 1. We have Enzo make a great shot on goal, but unfortunately Nano did not get there in time. Wild's trying to keep the ball here on the side of the Vipers. Does unfortunately lose it out to Cameron. Enzo trying to catch up to Cameron. The ball's pushed too far forward into the corner. Enzo has an opportunity to center it up for a teammate right now. Eagles up by 1, but Zydra decides to have that opportunity.
Yeah, here's the pressure coming on. Ooh, and a great shot. Definitely the team play we were looking for there. Definitely, again, off the backboard. That seemed to be where they're comfortable the most.
Going to this 50-50, we have Nif winning it first, but it goes high. Delco, unfortunately, goes for the demo and does not get the save, as well as these players knowing one another. And the Flares could be at that slight disadvantage having Delco in there, just not quite comfortable with the rotations and how their teammates play, and not being super familiar with how the opposing team likes to play things out. As that clock ticks down to that 5-second mark, Barracudas are up by 2. All that's left now is for the ball to hit the ground, but the Barracudas are going to say, wait a minute.
Back in the net, but still, no one challenging that is probably a sign of something deeper.
The Barracudas are actually a very notorious team for playing a lot of aerial ball. One of the words of advice I've said is just making sure you have someone on your team who's comfortable with getting in the air and challenging those players in mid-flight to take away those easy opportunities. And Agree is trying to show off their prowess.
So high in life, without you, I don't feel alive. So I'll just keep on being higher than the sky. Tell me, are you there for me even when I try? Keep on being high, without you, keep on being high. Without you, keep on being high. I know that you're feeling forsaken, mistaken, wish you were another man. I remember feeling awakened, mistaken if you thought I'm in that place where you want me to be, but I don't want you back. So it's easy to see when I'm high all the time, 'cause I have lost you. Get the thinking why we used to be so high on life. Without you, I don't feel alive. So I just keep on being higher than the sky. Tell me, are you there for me even when I try? Keep on being high. Without you, keep on being high. Without you, keep on being high. I know that you're feeling forsaken, mistaken, wish you were another man. I remember feeling awakened, mistaken if you thought I'm in that